back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we've got a show for you today. First topic we'll be going over is the Mariners being on fire as of recently, winning 13 of their last 17 games. Then we'll be talking about Jason Dominguez's return for the New York Yankees and the impact on the team. After that, we'll be going over some Padres trade deadline rumors, Rentaro Sasaki and his recent stint with the MLB Draft League, and some Luis Robert trade rumors. But before we do all that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show for today. All right, as I talked about, our first segment today is going to be about the Seattle Mariners, and just talking about the recent run they have had, and just, like I said, them being on fire. So let's talk about it. So, as of recently, the Seattle Mariners have done the following things. They have won 13 of their last 17 and are now 10 games above 500. And it's just showing how well they have done recently. And looking at this AL West this year, we've kind of been begging for just one of these three teams that going into the year we thought were elite to finally take the reins of the division, and it looks like the Mariners have finally done that. So props to them. They've been doing very, very well, and I did want to talk about them. So yeah, let's go. So the first thing you look at when you look at the Mariners is, okay, well, why are they doing this good right now? And what is the strength of their team? And obviously the strength of their team, to anyone that knows, is the pitching staff. This Mariners pitching staff, as I talked about on the show before, is absolutely incredible. The amount of stars they have on this lineup is insane, and just honestly is such a benefit to this team. I mean, you look at it right now, they have Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Ryan Wu, Emerson Hancock. Like, there's so many great players on this Mariners team that I think are genuinely great starting pitchers and help this team out a lot. So I think that overall, this is really the main reason why the Mariners have done so good. And, we'll also get more into it later, but they're also 16-6 in one-run games. And I think that has to do with their pitching staff being so good. So you look at the stats of this rotation. First of all, you have the ace, Luis Castillo, who has an ERA of 3.47. You have George Kirby, 3.43. Logan Gilbert, 3.57. Bryce Miller, 3.99. Ryan Wu, 3.81. Like, those are all really good ERAs. Nothing that's incredible, but these guys have the potential to go well under that and are great pitchers. So overall, I think it's finally nice that the Mariners pitching staff and entire team is clicking and just doing really well for this team. So good job for them, and it's been really great. So they've done a great job with that, and their elite rotation really is the reason why they have done so well as of recently and are finally clicking on all cylinders with the true potential of this team. I mean, again, they're 16-1 in one run. They're 16-6 in one-run games, and I think a lot of that has to do with the pitching staff. If the Mariners' offense gets ahead by at least 2 or 3 runs, your pitching staff's probably not going to give that up because it is so good, and also the bullpen works out really well as well. So I think that overall, just this entire pitching core of this Mariners team, has done very, very well, and really is the big impact overall. So, of course, you have the rotation, but you also have the bullpen. I mean, the bullpen has also been really fantastic for this Mariners team and been a big impact. You, of course, have Andres Munoz, who's your closer, who's been amazing this year. Ryan Stanek, who you signed, who's been really, really solid. Taylor Saucedo, who's been solid. Trent Thornton, who's been solid. Austin Voth, who's been solid. And the thing that really stands out here is Taylor Saucedo was a waiver pickup from the Mets. Ryan Stanek was a small signing from the Astros. Trent Thornton, a waiver pickup from the Blue Jays. So you look at how well the Mariners just develop pitchers. That really does impact how well this team does, and just shows how good of an organization they have become. Really, really good moves by them to pick up guys like a Stanek, a Saucedo, a Thornton, and make them into really good high-leverage relievers. So that's the sign of a really good organization there. They've done a very good job, and props to them again with how well they've done, and overall has been very, very good. So overall, when looking at this team, again, just the pitching core is so good, and that's why I did have them as a playoff team going into the year. I still think they are a really good team and are probably higher up in the AL rankings now because simply put, the Astros and Rangers have been so underwhelming and have underperformed so much. So I think that overall this team is very exciting. There's a lot of talent here, and I'm just really, really interested to watch what they do the rest of this year. And the really interesting thing is, even though they now are 10 games above 500 and their pitching staff is great, their offense hasn't even woken up yet. I mean, it's been pretty mediocre so far. So you look at their catcher, first of all, Cal Raleigh, who's been a star in the past. He's not done that great this year. He's been okay, having a 102 weighted runs created plus, which is only 2 above league average. So it's not like it's amazing, but it's still solid there. After that, Ty France at first has been okay. Jorge Polanco, they traded for from Minnesota, who's one of their big offseason additions, has been pretty underwhelming as well. So that's another thing that's a negative. JP Crawford's been solid, but outfield, Julio Rodriguez hasn't even gotten hot yet. That's another thing you're looking out for. And just overall, their offense really hasn't hit their full potential yet. Mitch Haniger's also been a disappointment since coming back to Seattle. Mitch Garver hasn't been exactly what you hoped for. He's been okay, but not great. So overall, I think that this Mariners team has done this well as of recently, even without their offense playing up to its full form. So when you have guys like Polanco, like Julio Rodriguez especially, getting hot and getting up to their full form sooner rather than later, this team is going to be scary. And you have this pitching staff, you're going to have this elite offense whenever they heat up. I think that it's going to be a very, very exciting team to watch. Clearly the best team in the AL West right now with the Rangers dealing with their underperformance and all the pitching injuries they've had. The Astros really the same thing. So I think they'll, at some point, are probably going to run away with this division, really win, and try to make their first deep playoff run with this core. I think there's a lot of talent with this team, and I'm really excited to watch them in the future. And overall, it's just going to be very, very exciting to watch them and end up seeing what does happen here. Again, pitching is amazing, and that's what matters in the playoffs, so it should be very exciting. And they also have a really good farm system. I mean, there are a lot of genuinely great prospects in this system that would probably make them be able to trade for a star at the deadline. I know in past years we've heard them connect to Pete Alonso, who would be an interesting fit on this team, give them the power bat that I think they need, but also some other big bats I think would fit. Luis Robert, who we are actually going to talk about him with the Mariners in the last segment, so we'll say more for that, but that's another bat. But really, any big bat at the deadline that is available, the Mariners would probably be able to get them and have enough of a farm system to be able to part with guys to really get any star they want. I mean, you look at their prospect capital right now, Cole Young, Harry Ford, Colt Emerson, Lazaro Montes, those are just the top guys. They have more depth overall in the farm system as well. So I think there's a lot to like if you're a Mariners fan right now with the direction this team is going, with the amount of assets they have, and yeah, it's just very, very exciting. And another thing is this team is really, really young. Like the pitching staff, other than Castillo, really no one is even close to hitting their second contract yet. Of course, Castillo's already gotten a big extension by Seattle. Andres Munoz is on a cheap contract for a little while now as their closer. You also have Cal Raleigh, who's a younger player. You also, of course, have Julio Rodriguez, who was locked up for a million years plus one. So there's a lot to like about this team, and they're going to stay together. This is a very exciting team to watch for the future, and potentially with the Astros going out, kind of having a rough season and maybe are heading towards a rebuild, the Rangers not doing the best, it might be the Mariners' time to step up. The A's, we don't know what's going on with them. The Angels are always a dumpster fire and kind of a mess. So I think that overall, this Mariners team is going to be very exciting to watch in the future, very exciting to see. And yeah, I'm just super excited to watch this team right now. Again, they've done great, 13 of 17, been very, very impressive, 10 games over 500 now. And again, in the AL right now, you have the Yankees, you have the Orioles, but what teams other than that are definitely better than the Seattle right now? I'd say Cleveland is definitely better, so that's 3. Kansas City is a toss-up right now with Seattle, and that's kind of it. So I would say there's 3 teams that are better, and then after that, kind of everyone else is either not better or just a little bit of a question mark. So the Seattle team is very exciting to watch, very interesting to see, and yeah, I'm just so excited to end up watching them. With the AL, I think the one thing that really stands out with them if you're going into a playoff mode is the pitching. Yankees and Orioles both have question marks in that front. I think the Guardians do as well. So if you're a Mariners fan, you're feeling pretty good if you make the playoffs. And they've gotten knocked out the playoff a few times now. They have that experience. And once Julio Rodriguez gets really going, once Kyle Raleigh gets going, or at Polanco, Ty France, it's going to be very, very interesting to watch this team. Very exciting. And yeah, I think a lot's going right for them right now, just the right time. And super excited to see what happens with them for the rest of the year. And especially at the trade deadline. I think if any team's going to make a big move, it could be them. And I think they have the assets to do it. And it's going to be very, very exciting. So looking forward to watching that and very excited to see. So that was our first segment here, talking about the Seattle Mariners and the recent winning streak they've been on and just them being on fire. We'll be going into our second segment here, which is going to be talking about Jason Dominguez and his impending return for the New York Yankees and just the Yankees outfield situation overall. So yeah, we'll talk about that and we'll see you after the break. So thanks and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind.